Hey, okay. Good morning. Yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I will start sharing my screen. So far we have discussed all theoretical concepts in HBase, and we talked about the HMaster, H region server, and Zookeeper, the importance of Zookeeper quorum, and its data model. So namespaces, which are equivalent to databases, tables, columns, column families, rows and row keys, timestamps, versions. Yeah, I think this much. Regions, region servers. These are the stuffs that we talked about. Cells and their versions. And we have seen some of the basic commands, and its web UI interface also we have observed on 60010 web port number. Okay, and some of the general commands that it has are like status and version and DDL, DML commands. Okay. Okay. Data definition language. We have seen some of these popular commands, frequently used commands, and DML as well. And namespace related commands also we have seen, like creation of a namespace and listing the namespaces. And if there are any other commands that you feel like so you need to explore, just put a help in the HBase shell. That's the one good advantage with the HBase shell, that you will get the describe very in detail explanation along with examples, unlike in Hive shell. Okay. So we have created a table, inserted records, and ran count queries and get queries, and get with versions, get with time range, get with columns limitations, and scans with start row, stop row, limit, and filters and the usage of filters also, the time range also, and updates we have seen, and delete records. So in this, deleting just one cell, all the versions of a cell, and deleting the entire row, and deleting entire row with delete all command, and deleting all the rows with truncate command. Okay. And to drop a table, we first need to disable it and then drop the table. Okay. And I have shown you an utility to load the data, bulk load the data into an HBase table. If your data is in TSV format, tab separated value format, then you can use this MapReduce import TSV utility to load there. And the only thing that you need to make sure is, so you need to provide, and the first column of that file should be the row key, and remaining columns you can map it to your HBase column families, any order. Okay, and next important thing is, first let me show you the Java client for HBase. Then I will show the integration with Hive. Okay, I'll come back to the integration with Hive after that. So this is same like if you remember still the Java HDFS Java client, and MapReduce, yeah, more similar to the HDFS Java client. So creation of a configuration object and performing the read and write operations on, and getting the file system object and doing the read and write operations there, right? So here also will be mostly, it's similar to that. So first we'll create in order to make use of this client API, first create a configuration object, and we'll create HBase configuration object here, which reads in the HBase site.xml files, meaning all the HBase site, HBase configuration properties, and as well as all the lower tools, like the underlying tools like HDFS, MapReduce. It reads all those configurations as well. Okay. And then if you are playing with, if your operations are at table level, meaning on a table, if you want to insert a record, get a record, or scan a record, or delete a record, table level of operations, we need to construct the HTable object. Otherwise, there is one more object called HBase admin to perform the admin operations like creation of a table itself and creation of a column family and disabling a table and dropping a table. So those DDL operations, DDL, okay, data definition language operations, create a table, add column families to it, and disabling dropping table, those are administrative operations, DDL operations. Though for them we create a different object called HBase admin, but for DML operations, data manipulation language operations, on your HBase table, we create an object of HTable class. Okay, we'll see the basic. And once you have the HTable operations, we have different classes for all these operations. For put, we have put class, and for get, we have get class, and for scan, we have scan class available in Java, and for delete, we have delete classes. It's just a matter of using those APIs. Okay, so this is just reading the main hyphen root hyphen table. So just getting the HTable.get table name. You can try these out, these examples, but I will run one program for you. Okay, so this HBase configuration creation. So it loads all these .xml files, HBase default.xml file, HBase site.xml file. And by default, HBase default.xml file is packaged inside the HBase, the basic HBase jar. And HBase site.xml will need to be added to the class path. And any properties given in the HBase site.xml overrides the properties in HBase default.xml. Same like your Hive site or MapRed site, Yarn site, those things.
Shiva, is that HTable an inbuilt class of HBase?
Yes, all those are inbuilt classes of your HBase API.
And what does that do? What does that class? Why does that class is?
Why does that class is used?
Yeah. For what? Like.
Why is it that class used?
Yeah.
Why is it that class used? The answer is simple. It provides all these APIs to data manipulation language operations, DML operations. It provides methods on that class.
Okay, when we call these methods, it gets interconnected with that through that class?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we generally use any classes provided by any framework?
Yeah.
It's the same purpose.
Okay.
It's again, see. Something got wrong with my VM workstation, so it's giving me a hard time from yesterday. It's not getting minimized. Okay. Let me show you. It's a bit difficult for me to drag like this and show you all that stuff. See, unnecessary time waste for you always. Yeah, I will show you one simple, one single program combining all these APIs, the creation of configuration object, reading, performing all these operations. So I have given some sample, 3-4 simple classes here, but anyway, I will combine all of them into one example there, and I will run it there. And once you prepare a jar, you can run in the same fashion as you ran your MapReduce jars. Like, okay. Only thing is, you should have added by default in your real-time clusters. You don't need to take care of these class path issues. Generally, your environments will have they will have already added these things into the Hadoop class path. Okay, so you just need to run yarn jar name and your main class inside that, and any input arguments that you are passing into the main class. Okay. And some of these things, put instance, get instance. Yeah. So once you create a HTable object, if you want to insert a record, there in HBase shell, we have put command. Here the same thing, we have a put class. So we make use of that put object, like put one equal to new put of. We specify the row ID, and to that row ID, so we are creating this row ID with optionally we can provide the cells timestamp and an instance of row logs. So row logs generally we don't even I didn't use much in real time, but might be we can specify max the timestamp or even not that. So generally this is how we specify just the row ID. So what is the new row that you are going to insert, and what is the primary key or the row key for that row ID. And once you specify that row ID, so your put object is ready, and now that for that row, you should add each and every cell values to that row. For example, let's say if I have a test column family and column 1 and column 2, two columns are there under test column family. So I need to make use of this kind of syntax. Generally, this is the popular, most frequently used one. Put one dot add of bytes dot 2 bytes of test, and again this is also like bytes dot 2 bytes of column 1 and bytes dot 2 bytes of value 1. So the first parameter is always the column family, and the second parameter is column name, and third parameter generally the value part of it. And as we know that since HBase does not support any data types, everything stores as a binary and bytes. So we have to convert everything into bytes. The column family name, column name, value name, and even the row ID, everything. While inserting data into your HBase tables, you have to convert everything into bytes. And while reading it back, again, it's our responsibility to read them back into the appropriate data types. Okay? And once you create this put object, so on put object, I added all these things. Now I have this put object, put one. I'm passing this put one object into the HTable instances put method. So this will insert that one row. Okay. So now in case of if you have millions of records that needs to be read from input file and insert into this thing. So this is how you need to handle inside a for loops. So if you put it a for loop until end of your source input file, keep reading them and parsing those into your different fields, and put all those different fields into the different columns here inside that for loop. And then for every input record that you read in from the your external input file, so you'll be creating one put object and you'll be inserting them. Okay, so instead of just single put, you can also prepare a list of put objects also. Instead of inserting one row at a time, you can do a batch as well. So you can prepare an array list of this put, and you can pass that list also to this put object, put method. Then that accepts, you can. And once you're done with all your insertion, you can close your HTable connections. Okay. And similarly, the get API is more or less same. So the same get equal to new get of, we pass the row ID, because to get a record, we need to provide the row ID, right? And even that is also in bytes. And along with that row ID, so whatever all other optional parameters that we have seen, passing the column family and passing the column name and passing the timestamp and telling how many versions you need, all these things you can specify as a parameters by calling the appropriate methods on the get object. So if you want to get only one column family, yes, you can specify get.add family of family name. And if you want to further narrow down your results, and if you want to, instead of the entire family, just need one column, you can specify that also. And if you want to specify the time range, you can specify the time range using this method, set time range. What is the minimum timestamp and max timestamp? So the same functionality, whatever the functionality that we have seen yesterday, the same functionality here in Java. For almost all those options, you have methods in Java. That's it. So set max versions, how many versions you need. Okay. And once you prepare that get object, you can call that htable.get of get object. If you pass that get object, you will get the result. Now, this result is also, it's a collection of byte arrays. And on that result, we have a method called getRow, which returns the row key, again, which is a byte array. And even if you want to get value of any column, you need to pass that column family name and column name. And if you pass this column family name and column name, you will get a value for that column, and which is again a byte array. So this is from here onwards, if it is a byte array, so we need to convert on our own to its target data type. Okay. Some of the methods of interest are like, so get row to get the row key and get value, and these two are most frequently used. One is to get the row key, and second one is to get the values of all the cells. Okay. And EsEmpty to just check whether you have received any result or not. And size returns the number of cells. And contains column, whether you have that column value or not, column exists in that result or not. Okay, this is another simple example for that get. You can play with this. Next, similarly, delete. So you need to pass in the a row ID for this delete object, and whether you want to delete the columns, just delete the columns, or delete one family. So based on that, you can specify. So delete columns means you specify the column family name and the column name. Only that cells will get deleted. And for delete family, it deletes all the columns in that family. And here again, so you have notice we have delete column and delete columns to two methods here. Okay. So delete columns deletes all the versions of the cell, but delete column only deletes the latest. Whereas we don't have this option of deleting only the latest version in the HBase shell. The HBase shell, when you specify delete and the row ID and the column family and column name, it deletes all the versions of it. And if you specify the timestamp, you can delete that one particular timestamp cell value. But just deleting the latest and not all others is something like specifying the latest timestamp there. Okay. So can we delete a column based on a filter condition? For example, where x equal to some value. So this is how we need to achieve it through the Java program. Yes, here within the HBase API, so you don't have that kind of filter. So first what you need to do is you need to apply a scan using that filter, and whatever the results you receive from that scan result, it's really a very good question, Satish. Yeah, so in real time, so you may need to delete some rows based on a criteria. Without the condition, no one deletes these records. So in that case, we don't have a direct condition to delete from this API. Only thing is, so since till now you have seen the put, get, and delete, right? So you will see the scan API as well. And in scan, you have filters. You know that filters, right? Value filters, maybe column value filter. So you can specify the column name and value name. And there, so whatever the records that matches them, and you need to reiterate through those row IDs and then delete it. You'll get a set of row IDs, a list of row IDs, and loop through them, put all those row IDs in a for loop, and for each of them, you need to call this delete all. Okay. Okay. So DDL operations, the creation of a table. So we have HBase admin objects. We can make use of that. And these were the APIs we are still using, even in HBase 1.2, or I think the latest HBase versions running now. And HTable descriptor is the one to specify the table name, and HColumn descriptor class is available to specify the column family name. And using this HColumn descriptor, we can create a number of column family objects, and we call that on the HBase admin object, we call the create table method by passing this HTable descriptor object. Okay. So now let's mix all these APIs into one example, and let's see the creation of a table and inserting some records and getting those records back and scanning them using the scan object, and then just iterate them through the for loop, and then finally disable the table and just drop the table. So just to show the example usage of all these operations. Okay. And similarly, as you are asking, like, so for delete, maybe I can give you that as an assignment. So on scan object, you can apply filters. See, once you enter into the Eclipse, it's just the usage of the methods applying the dot on this object. That's it. Okay, so you can give it a try, and if you can't get it, I can show you those examples. I can give you the examples code later. So let me explain you this code. So HBase Java client example. So first, the very first step, same like our HDFS Java API. I'm creating a configuration object conf equal to. So there in HDFS API, new configuration for this conf object, which reads only the Hadoop configuration object files. But here, the HBase configuration.create method reads in both the HDFS and as well as the HBase related .xml files. Now, in order to play with your DDL operations, we need the object of HBase admin. In passing this conf object, I'm creating the HBase admin object, and so whatever the table name that I'm going to create, just I will give that table name there. Here, just only thing is, in HBase shell, you are remembering all these as commands. Here, you have to remember these things as the classes. That's it. So once you are aware of these classes, if you can store this index and like saying that I have these classes available in HBase API, HBase Java API, so that I can use them whenever is needed. Even for specifying the table name, we have a table name class. So table name equal to table name dot value of. So you'll pass a string. So with passed on string, so it creates a table name object. So with that table name, we create a htable descriptor. Htable descriptor HTD, new htable descriptor of table name. Now I'm going to add a column family to that. H column descriptor, I just named it as HCD. The column descriptor name as data, and added this HCD object, htd.addFamily, for this htable descriptor object, add family of HCD, and admin.createTable of HTD. So with just only one column family, data, into this test table, I'm creating a table now. Admin is my HBase admin object, create table of HTTP. I kept all these operations in my try catch block because at any point of time it throws any exception. So it will get catched on the catch blocks. Now, I created a table here, and on the admin object, see, for the sake of showing you here, so I just shown some of these methods here. But now, so once you have an object and to explore all other methods, so it's just, so if you are in Eclipse, it's just matter that object dot control space, just explore all the methods that are available. So admin.balancer to run that balancer command. Okay. And table name, column descriptor. Adding column, add a column to the existing column descriptor, column family. Okay, new column. and compacts anyway. They are deprecated now. This create table by passing the H table descriptor. Delete a column and delete a namespace. And similarly, you might have create namespace also. In case, instead of directly creating the table in the default namespace, if you want to create inside a namespace, so first you need to create the namespace. You can pass in this way. Just you can call the create namespace method and passing the namespace descriptor object. And how do you create that? Again, you can get the documentation and the help of it. Okay, so there will be a lot of methods available in all these things. So enable a table, disable a table, drop a table, delete a table. Okay. And just some of the commands like is table disabled, is table enabled, and list namespace descriptors and list table names. Okay, so all these things you can try it out as much as you can explore. Okay, for namesake I have given few methods. So I created a table and I'm listing the tables, just listing down the tables in the HBase. So it's like same running your list command on your HBase shell. So it gives me an array of HTable descriptors and I'm just going to loop through it. If the length of this array is not equal to 1, meaning it has more results, and the bytes dot equals of table name dot get name. So I'm trying to get the table name which I created here, and if that equals the tables of 0, and if that does not equal, then meaning the table was not created. So if it is for the first time. Okay. Next, to perform the DML operations on that table, so I need to create the HTable instance. HTable table equal to the configuration object above the configuration object I created, and the table name object that I created there. Now I'm going to insert some records. So here, so I just put them into simple for loop. So for int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 3, I plus plus. So byte array. So everything I need to convert into byte arrays. So I'm using bytes dot 2 bytes. Even this bytes API, bytes class is available in HBase API. Okay, you can find all these things in. So HBase.util.bytes, and this is for specifying the table name. This is for specifying the HTable descriptor, column descriptor, the HBase admin, and HBase configurations. These are the stuff that we have seen so far. Now, so I'm building the row ID. So byte array of row, bytes dot 2 bytes of. I'm simply building the row ID programmatically. So every time I get, so for the first row I will get row 1, and second row, row 2, and for third row, row 3, like that. If I want to create n million number of row IDs, it's very simple here. Okay, and generally, so it depends in your real-time scenarios. It will not be that simple. So might be like whatever the. So do we have any documentation to know which method to use when? Documentation to use which method to when. So no specific documentation. So this slides itself is a basic kind of index, like right, when you are going to insert, so these methods are available. Put objects, and when you're going to retrieve a record, get methods, and when you're going to search for a set of records, then scan object, and when you're going to delete, then delete objects, delete methods. The basic operations that I'm explaining in the session itself. And further, only the Java documentation. That's it. Java API. Okay. So all these are not matured enough. Like you will find very good documentation anywhere in the PDFs and kind of stuff. So since these are like evolving, and by the time you get familiar with all these things, you will get new APIs in place of them. Okay. It's just in open source community, just you keep upgrading yourself by reading all the up-to-date tools and documentation. That's it. Okay. So your Eclipse is more than sufficient for you to learn all this documentation. Just load all the classes into your project. Just all the jars, add all your jars into HBase related jars. So this one again, I will show you all the jars that needs to be loaded into it. Okay. And so create any class object and use the dot and see the list of all the methods. And if you mouse over on any of the methods, then you will get the purpose of that methods, right? Obviously. So this is element neither. So if you don't have the documentation here, so then obviously you can check in the Java APIs in the HBase documentation site. Okay, so just referring the API docs. So now coming back to here. So yeah, I was telling that in real time. So here, this is a simple scenario. I'm just using the row IDs as a row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, up to row 1000 or row 10,000. Okay, so if I have 10,000 records. But in real time, so that might not be the scenario. So in real time, so you might be having this one column as the row ID from your source file, or if your file is not having any unique key, then you should find a composite key, a combination of 2 or 3 columns, and then obviously you need to provide those 3 fields. Okay, so bytes.2 bytes of your first field plus second field and plus third field. And in between them, if you want to specify any delimiters, maybe hash delimiter or underscore delimiter or hyphen delimiter, you can provide them. This is one of the key decisions that you need to take. What should be your key for your HBase table? I hope you are getting the importance of this, because this plays very crucial role, especially in designing your table structures. If you don't prepare a good key for HBase tables, scanning your tables will become very, very tough job. Okay, especially, I mean, when I talk about the suppose if I am talking about the domain, retail domain. So if I have a products table, generally the unique key for products table will be the product IDs. Okay. Whereas if I am talking about some prices and sales and units and all these things, so price cannot be unique value and sales cannot be unique value. Units cannot be sales unique value. So what is a unique combination there? When I talk about there, like the product ID, and again, this transactions table, inside a transactions table, the same product ID might have sold multiple times, multiple transactions, and in multiple stores at multiple times. Then the combination of the product ID and store ID and time ID can be taken as the row ID. Okay, and similarly, in case of insurance domain, like when you are talking about the customer ID or the policy info, insurance policy numbers. So typical in your data model, designing, so whatever the keys that you take, those things, the help of combination of those things, you need to prepare this composite key. Okay, and whenever you receive a duplicate record with that composite key, so your existing record values will get updated. So that's why you need to be careful that in selecting the row ID, the unique row ID. Okay, so here I specified the row ID and creating the put object, okay, with that row ID. Now I need to add the column family. I need to specify the column name, same. For column family, I have a byte array column family. So bytes.2 bytes of data and column qualifier. So here I'm simply using the column name as the same numbers here, but this is again programmatically when it comes to real time. So here you can specify whatever the columns. Let's say if you have 20 columns, 30 columns, you just need to provide them one after the other. Okay. Qualify string dot value of I. So that string value of I. So if it is 1, the 1 is your column name, and 2, 2 is your column name, and 3, 3 is your column name. And value, so just value 1, value 2, value 3 like that. But this is again depends on your reading your source input file and just doing this. Okay. So when explaining the real-time projects, that time I will show you some real code around this, parsing some XML files and building the HBase tables and use a integration of them with the Hive, all these things. So I will show you that real-time code when I explain the real-time projects for Hadoop. Okay. So I just specified the column family. No, I didn't even specify. I just build this byte array for the column family and byte array for column name and byte array for value. So now with these 3 parameters, I'm adding them to the put object, put.add of column family, column name and value, and add that put object to table.put. So this for loop will insert 3 rows, or how many are rows that I want. If I make it 5 or 10 or something. And the get result, so I'm just retrieving only one record. Bytes dot do 2 bytes of row 1 and result table.get of get. I will get that into result object, and result object I can just print it here. And yeah, on that result dot get row ID, so let's say get row, I will get only the row. And since I will get the byte array, I can convert this into toString. And similarly, I created a scan object, scan, a new scanner, result scanner. table.getScanner of scan object. On this scan, I can specify, like, I can call so many methods on scan object. So there are plenty of methods available. So if you want to restrict your scan to only to a particular column, you can specify this using the add column. Okay. So column family, specify the column family and the column name. And if you want to restrict only to one particular column family, yes, you can do that. And some of these, like, get start row. So we don't need all these get methods. Generally, set methods, we make use of them. Yeah. So set filter. So if you want to apply any filters, like if you want to read only the row IDs, no matter no other values, or if you want to apply a column value filter, as I was showing you, you need to create a filter object first, and you need to pass that filter object here, and use that. You set that in the set filter method. Okay, I will give this as assignment for you, as Satish was asking. Delete on a condition basis, which I didn't cover here. So apply a filter on scan and get those records and get only the keys of them, and put that keys list in a for loop and call the delete API and delete the records from your HBase table. That is your assignment for HBase. Okay, you can set the maximum versions. You can set, yeah, you have seen raw equal to true, right? In our case, in the HBase cell, the same functionality you can achieve it here. Set raw equal to true. Set reversed scanning. Yes, instead of scanning from top, you can scan from bottom as well. And set start row and set stop row and set time range and set timestamp. All these things you can play with. Okay. So some of these set methods we might use sometimes. Start row, stop row, and time range are frequently used ones, and max versions, again, frequently used ones. And set filter, yeah, based on some requirement, we might use that as well. Okay. Now, once you prepare this scan object, so you'll call the get scanner of table on the table object. So by passing scan object, so I will be looping through this result scanner list of scanner. So I'm just simply printing there. So I'm not fetching the field by field value. Okay, even though it's like I can get that, like get value of, I need to, I have a question, I think. So how to use REST API with HBase? REST API is something that you need to be aware of these some frameworks. REST services with REST frameworks that implement these APIs. Okay. Generally, we do it through the Spring MVC framework and some Jackson REST server implementations. Why do we need REST API? Okay, this is something like to integrate them with the web services? Satish, if you have an example code, can you share it? So I don't have example code, I just have the direct project code. Maybe I might, because that's a Spring. If I start including that in the session, the thing is, many people who are not good at advanced Java J2EE concepts, they all get, complex. Like they feel it like it's so tough and kind of stuff. Generally, you in any of your Hadoop teams, you'll find a mix and match of resources, not just the Java resources, not just the ETL guys. So you'll find a mix of them, so you can share it. Okay. So just if you share, I will understand by myself. I need to prepare the example code for that, Akila. So I just have direct the project code. So I might need to prepare the example code. So yeah, I will remove some of these project related configurations and try to share that example program. And it's not just one program, it's a project, right? And if you know the Spring MVC framework, I need to share from model view, controller, everything, and the setup configuration files as well. Not many places. I need to change them. Okay. And for your question, Satish, like generally, so when you are, say, if you have some data in Oracle or Postgres or something, using them, ETL tools and reporting, to connecting to the Tableau or visualization, building reporting tools is one side of usage. And the second side of usage is that, you display those values on a web browser, on a web page. Okay. So how do you display them? You need to write some web services. And in order to write some web services, you will be depending on some of these web protocols, like these web protocols. It could be either REST or through SOAP. These are like J2EE concepts, your typical J2EE concepts. And in those, same, only thing is, if you know how to write the Java client for, and I don't recommend directly writing these things to the HBase directly. So the one I prefer is, so integrate this with Hive and use that same Java client, Hive Java client, and expose it. Use that piece of code, Java piece of code in your Spring MVC framework or any other frameworks that you are aware of. So you know how to fetch your table data into Java. Now use that Java piece of code anywhere, any framework that you are aware of. And if you are already good at any of these web services, you can use them there. Okay. Anyway, I will try to, instead of sharing it just with you, I will try to explain at least the flow and with some sample code by the time we discuss the real-time projects. Okay. Because if I just share it with you, maybe others feel it like it might be important and this guy is not sharing with us. So get value and provide the column family name and column name. So column family name, I can specify. Again, I need to specify it as bytes. Bytes.2 bytes of data. Qualifier. Since we added 3 qualifiers there. Okay, so I'm just printing only the value of, again this I will get as a byte array. I need to convert this into. Okay, so finally close that scanner object and disable the table and closing the file, closing the table. Okay, let me run this as Java application. So if you observe this log messages, again you can understand the how does the client interaction happens with Java. So client is, in MapReduce programs, you have seen that the client is directly interacting with your YARN resource manager on 8032 port number. But if you see here, it's first making a connection to session management to the Zookeeper, connecting to Zookeeper and symbol on 2181 port number. And default port number for Zookeeper is 2181, and whichever machine it is running. And from via this machine, it establishes a Zookeeper session, and session timeout is this many seconds. Now, through this Zookeeper session, it makes a request to your master, HMaster. Let's see all the services are running or not. It's Zookeeper quorum peer main is running. Data node is running. This jar is something different. This is a Hive server, I think. This is the Hive meta store. This is the resource manager, and this is the some Eclipse journal node manager. Again gone. HBase services are not running. That's why it's struggling a lot here. Let me start them. Not sure why they got failed. Some way they got killed. But anyway, let me start running them. Sudo service HBase-master. It's failed. Okay. So that's why it's connecting so much. Yeah, you can see that in the log messages, that right? It's so call exception twice. This is trying so many times to connect to the master. Okay, so let me run this. And HBase region server as well. In sudo service Zookeeper server, we need to restart. Okay, whenever we start these services, and since I'm restarting the Zookeeper service, this connection should get closed. This connection got refused. Okay. Yep. This is as expected. So now again, if you run it as Java application. So table already exists exception. Okay. I'm trying to create the table, but the table is already present. So this time it got connected very quickly. Eclipse, the test table, it's saying that in our previous run, the table is already present there. Okay. Now what I can do is I can disable and drop the table, right? So if table already exists, I can add that logic here. Try. So what can I call? If admin dot is table available of table name. I'll put that logic here. So is table available? Then what I will do is I'll simply remove that table, admin dot disable table, table name, and admin dot delete table name. So even if the table is present, and disabling the table first and dropping the table and then recreating the table. Okay. Why debug? Didn't I run it in? Where is this console? Without this minimize VMware workstation minimize, it's getting very difficult for me. I might have run it as debug. So started disabling of test and disabled test, then deleted the test, and it received some null pointer exception. Let's see what it is. God, it's really getting. So just printed those get keys and scan keys. Those byte arrays here, toString. The toString is not the direct method then. So I need to call instead of direct toString, I need to call the bytes dot toString of bytes dot toString of byte array. Okay, and if I give inside this again the same like so you're not able to see them as human readable values, right? Now let's see them. So it printed the row 1 and value 1. And for other 10 rows, the column names are different, right? If you remember the logic. So we are using the column names as the integers that I am receiving. But here I specified only the row 1 column here in my scan. For all other rows, remaining 9 rows, the column 1 will not have. For row 2, I will have column 2, and for row 3, I will have column 3, that way. And you can even verify this details in HBase shell as well. Let me show you this table, the HBase shell, then scan the table, and you can better understand this.
Siva.
Yes, Anna.
I am quite a bit lost.
Yeah, this is not your home ground.
Don't mind recapping this. Don't mind recapping this. If you can recap what exactly is what you're trying to do, and just a brief one.
The same command that we ran yesterday, right? We created a namespace, we created a table, and we inserted records and reading them. So yesterday we ran them through the HBase shell, the help of commands, right?
Okay. Okay.
So for every command that you have seen yesterday, we have a corresponding Java class in HBase Java API.
Okay.
Okay. So there I have a create command to create the table. Here I have a create table method, and which expects 2 parameters. There, the create table, you need to pass the table name and the column family name at the minimum, right? Same thing. This here I have create table method, and it expects a table name descriptor, h table descriptor, and for this we'll pass the column family name as object. And if the table is present already, if you want to disable and drop, there we have disable space table name command. Here I have disable table method, and to drop the table we had a drop command. Here we have a delete table method. And
Okay, so
there we had a put command. Here we have just the put objects and to call this insert into records.
so where would you use this script, like, and why are you using a script instead of the command?
Why am I using this Java program instead of the commands? Question is, I mean, as I was explaining you yesterday, it's okay to use the commands as well, but the thing is, there is no way of batch execution of those commands. Those are like interactive fashion only, not like your Hive or Impala or Pig. So in Hive, Impala, Pig, you have those commands and queries. You can write those queries into a file and you can execute them in a batch way as well, batch mode as well.
So we cannot use like a store procedure to call those commands, something like that.
We don't have that. It is HBase is not that matured yet.
Got it. So that is the reason instead of store procedure you use this JavaScript to call.
To invoke the same sequence of commands, whatever the commands that you are running, you will find its equivalent Java class or method in this Java API. The same thing, I'm trying to make use of it. So that's it. I'm not doing anything new in this. Yesterday I wrote in commands, today I'm writing in Java, that's it.
And what about Zookeeper? So is this integrated with Zookeeper? Is that what you are trying to show?
Yes, Zookeeper, any connection to HBase happens through Zookeeper. That is what I was explaining you in the architecture, right?
Right.
So if you make a connection to the HBase from a user, it will not directly go into the H master. You don't know who is master. You will always make a connection to the Zookeeper.
Okay.
And Zookeeper will have list of all those details, whom to connect.
So even with JavaScript, it will connect to the Zookeeper only, and the Zookeeper will manage the script. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Same stuff.
And then last one before I let you cut off on this one. What happens here is meaning in our warehouse scenario, in our data warehouse scenario, looks like we won't be using HBase that often, right? I'll probably use Impala.
We won't be using HBase that often. That's true. There are many projects without HBase, and we try to avoid HBase as much as possible because of its complexity.
Perfect. Okay.
In real time scenarios also, we don't recommend to many of our project leads or something. We don't recommend HBase to be used that frequently, unless until there is a strong reason that you definitely need the updates and there is no other fashion. And even if the updates are like the bulk updates, meaning if you have 10,000 records and out of them there is a chance that at least 5,000 records getting changed, then obviously we don't go for HBase. So we use we use typical the file mechanism, like reading the files and create the updated file and drop the existing file and reload the updated file.
See, I went to a local Cloudera conference last Thursday, and interestingly, all the crowd over there, they were very much interested in HBase. I'm not sure why, and that is what
going to be ruled out near future. The reason is now we have only option of HBase to update anything in Hadoop, but believe me, in another 1-2 years, it will no longer be used. The reason is we have one more tool called, one more file system, file format called Kudu from Cloudera.
They mentioned that. That was mentioned by Cloudera guys.
Yep. This is going to replace HBase. On this, we have done POCs last year itself, and we evaluated it, and we thought of started using it. But only the back step we took is Cloudera is not yet providing the enterprise support on this.
But it looks like Kudu is already released. Another Cloudera engineer told me
This
that
is
the
released.
Kudu.
I mean, this is released, meaning that everybody can use it. Okay.
Correct.
But enterprise support you will not get yet. Same like your Spark SQL or Spark streaming, they are available. They are released. You can use them, but you will not get the enterprise support because even they are not yet ready for providing, and they are not yet confident enough to provide the 100% support on that. It's not that easy to agree on an enterprise support for any tool. If something goes wrong, they have to pay millions.
Oh, I see.
If they
have to be enough.
Yeah, if they can't fix in agreed upon time, so then they will need to pay back, right? So many dollars.
Have you looked at Kudu by yourself?
Yes. We did a POC and we evaluated this. Yes, it's working. All the updates, anything that you can do in HBase, you can do it in Kudu. We thought of eliminating HBase completely from all of our architecture projects.
Oh, that's a good news.
Yeah,
Actually,
I mean, but don't. I mean, that may not be a good news for you because anyway, Kudu is new to you. HBase is also new to you.
Right.
But one thing with Kudu is you can run your SQL queries, Impala queries, all your Impala queries. It's like a file format. You no longer need a HBase support to do that, and slowly, as I'm telling it, like once Cloudera starts giving the enterprise support, so even we ourselves will migrate immediately to the Kudu.
Siva, but I do want to pass you a good feedback. At the conference, it was pretty long. They covered a lot of things, and let me tell you, whatever you have told, they exactly validated the same things.
Okay.
So I was a step ahead in that game. So thanks to you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So anyway, until it comes into the market and it gets popular, you don't have any other option of using other than HBase for updates.
HBase.
Okay.
Good. Thanks.
Yeah. So till then, keep using this. So let me show you this results of the test. Scan, test, something went wrong. Okay. The scroll bar issue is oh my god. Tomorrow I need to fix this. So scan test error test is disabled. Oh, okay. The table is disabled in my program, so that's why I'm not able to see this. Okay, so let me enable it here in the shell itself. Enable. Test. So now it's enabled. Scan test. You can see for row 1 I have column 1 under data column family, and its value is value 1, and for row 10 I have column name as 10 only, value 10. All these are inserted through programmatically. Okay. So in my examples, I try to keep these examples as simple as possible. The reason is not just to Java programmers may not like it, but others, my intention is that everyone should be able to catch up. If I make more complex scenarios in the examples itself, so once you guys are familiar with these things, you can start thinking them. It's just a single jump, simple jump to the real-time cases. Okay. But this one single Java program covers almost all the frequently used APIs methods. Okay, so just go through it. Now, next, the important one that I was trying to show you is the HBase integration with Hive, right? As I was telling you, and this will be helpful for you as well, for your question as well, Akila. So instead of directly connecting to the HBase REST server, so my recommendation would be, again, if you connect to that HBase REST server, your coding is same thing. Okay, so you'll be writing your Java code, same stuff, same thing. You'll be calling all these same APIs, and you will be returning them into the through DO layer, or you will be calling all this code through DO layer in your Spring MVC framework and passing the results back to your web page or something, web service. There you just need to provide some few extra connection parameters like zookeeper quorum connection string. Here, our zookeeper connection quorum string that we have seen in the console is localhost : 2181. Since I have only one machine in this, I have only one zookeeper quorum address. But in real time, as I was telling you, there will be at least minimum of 3 machines or 5 machines. This connection string, this connect string. Here quorum, I have localhost : 2181. Instead of this, you will find either 3 machines or 5 machines with port numbers 2181 opened on them. That's the difference. That's it. No other difference. So it will make connection to that, and you will be scanning them and sending the results back. Okay. So for REST API, you don't have a separate API. You have just a REST server. Using that REST server, it connects to that. That's it. There is no separate API for that. Okay. But for others, I mean, whoever is coming from non-Java background, don't get scared. This is the max, at max, full extent that you can go with HBase. Usage of this Java code in some J2EE framework. And as I'm telling it, like, nobody can be expert in all the areas, right? As I was telling, like, you guys would be good at, say, Impala, Hive, and the peak areas, and these guys will have their own pros and cons. Like even in HBase, you can master till the commands level. So this will take some bit of time. I mean, this just the nature feeling that you always have that Java is something new for me. So Java is tough for me, and to use these things, REST services and web services, it's the same for everyone, I think. Okay, the advanced J2EE concepts. So either you can use this native Java API, which I don't recommend. The second one is integrate with your Hive and use it through your Hive Java clients. Again, that Java client piece, the JDBC connection piece, you can put it anywhere in any framework. If you're advanced programmer in Java, you put it in any framework. It could be MVC, or it could be any other framework that you are aware of. Okay. So once you know how to pull it into Java, that's up to you. Your wish, where you want, in which framework you want to use. That's it. Okay. So let's not worry about that much. Next, for integration of, let's say, I have these tables in HBase, and let me create mapping table for this in Hive. Okay. So we have a table called EMP in HBase with 3 columns: employee ID, name, and role. Right? Let me scan this. One more easiest option. So you have seen till now that bulk import tool to load the data into HBase table, and the second option is through your Java, so writing programmatically. Third option, once you integrate with your Hive, you feel happy like Anand. I mean, generally, whoever coming from non-Java background, you guys feel happy like, so without the complexity of all that Java, you can achieve with your plain Hive commands itself. Now, let's say I have scan EMP. So I don't have any records into this. Okay. So this is an empty table. And let me see how many column families are there in this scan EMP. I have a 2 column families, description and info. So I will, yeah. Okay. So now I just have a plain empty table in HBase, and I'm going to create its corresponding table in Hive. Okay. So table syntax, creation syntax in Hive is very simple. Create external table, because the table gets stored in HBase. I am calling it as external, and table and the table name. Okay. Instead of this all stuff, I just simply call it as HTable. Okay. So HTable EMP. My first column is key string, my row key. So HBase row key is key string, and the following next columns are name string and role string, and stored by HBase storage handler. Okay, this is like you have to take it as it is. This is the class name that you have to specify, and with Sardi properties and HBase columns mapping. By default, your row key maps with the first column in the Hive table, and coming to the second column onwards. So your name should match with the info. So info column family name, and the role is matching with we are mapping it with the description column family role. And your HBase table name is EMP. Okay, let me create this table in Hive. This VMware workstation is troubling me yesterday without minimizing. I think I'm done with the slides. Anyway, let me make it full screen. Okay, so now the table is created. Let me make it full screen so that I feel better. So let's assume I have now records in my table. Okay. I have records in my emp.txt table file. Okay, so I have the names. So I have an extra column also age here. And remove these. Now I need to load this data into my Hive table. Okay, so my Hive table H table emp. But can I directly load that text file into this? I gave you one basic fundamental rule. Only if the table is text file formatted, and that too without partitions and without bucketing, then only you can use load data local in path or load data in path. Otherwise, you always need a temporary text table. Let's create the temporary text table. Create table emp underscore temp. Okay, same columns I specified key string and name string, comma, a role string. Okay, no other things. Row format delimited. Fields terminated by comma. That's it. Do I need anything else? No. Okay. Now use that load data local in path. Specify the path of this file. So emp.txt. This today's session is like very important in real time, especially these two things, both the HBase and Hive integration and Java API for Java guys. So load data local in path, loading this file into table emp underscore temp, emp underscore temp. Now I have records in this. Select star from emp underscore tmp. Okay, I got 4 records. Now, if I need to insert into my HBase table, so very simplest bulk load approach, and you like this approach as well. Insert, either you can use insert override or insert into. If you want to flush out the existing records, you can use override, otherwise into. Insert into table, here table, H table, underscore emp, select star from here emp underscore temp. Okay, so this will insert, this will run a MapReduce job, same like the import TSV MapReduce job that you have seen while loading into bulk import into HBase table, right? So assume it like that. So it's running a MapReduce job. It will insert all the records into the table. Now the data appears in both the places for you, both in Hive and as well as HBase. And if you need any updates, let's say for the row ID 103, instead of Hasita, if I need to change it to Lakshman, or if I need to change it to someone else's name, so I can just pass in that record. I can update that record. I will show you that. No need of going into Hive shell and no need of using the Java API. Okay. But running it from Hive, the same insert into table, is quite slow. As you guys know that this runs the MapReduce jobs. You can run this same command from your Impala as well. Let me run the next sequence of commands from Impala shell. Okay, then you can feel that all these three are integrated. Hive, HBase, Impala. And you should not feel it like data got replicated 3 places. Data is still present in your HBase only. You can view it through Hive mirror. You can view it through Impala mirror, and you can see it through your HBase shell as well. Okay, running it through Hive shell makes it a bit slower, but you have to create your HBase integrated tables through Hive shell only. Even though if you are using them in Impala, you still need to create them through Hive shell only. Impala shell is not directly accepting the creation of these commands. Okay, so there are some limitations, of course, but anyway, they will get resolved very quickly in the coming releases. Okay, so now we have show tables. You can see the new table. What happened? There are so many tables that are present here and not in that data. Let me run invalidate metadata. Yes. Okay, so I got all the tables into Impala as well. Now, let's select star from htable underscore emp. Select query from htable emp. It's taking so long. Generally, it should not take this much long time. Okay. Maybe for the first query, it took this much long. So you can see the data here. And the same data you can verify. Scan EMP table. So just few seconds back when we verified, there was no records in EMP table, right? It was empty. Now you can see the data with 4 rows. For 101, you have 2 columns, role and name, and for 102, you have 2 columns, role and name, and role and name, and all these things. Now, if I want, I can access this same data in all the places. In Hive shell, yes, I can run this. Select star from htable underscore emp. I can access same data. And by looking at this format, this is not so user friendly. Obviously, everyone prefers either Hive if they are using especially Hortonworks when they don't have option of Impala. So if you are using Cloudera, obviously go with Impala shells because these gives you the results even more faster. Now, coming to the updates, let's say insert into table htable underscore emp values. I provide the same 104. Let's since all these are strings, I will give it as a string 104. Okay, and second column is name, right? I'll give it here the column order also. What is the big deal? Name and role, and name I keep it as Anand only. So let's promote him to the next level. So team, let's say project lead. Okay, so instead of senior developer, so if I update this, so name comma role, encountered role, identifier, expected identifier, syntax error. We don't give the column names. Let me see. So it inserted just 0.55 seconds, right? If I run this same command for inserting one more record into this from Hive, let's say for other record, so for Hasita, let's make it senior developer. For Hasita, let's make it as a senior developer. It will be running your MapReduce job just for inserting one record. This is going to take a lot of time, but here you can see how quickly that insert happened in Impala. Now we updated 2 records. Let's insert one new record, and then the new records will get inserted into it or not. Okay, let me take Satish as a team lead. So even for insertion of a new record or updation of an existing record, same command, insert into table, table values. Same order. Query insert into is it got completed. Now, if I select, let that complete from this Hive as well, because there is some update going on. Let's run the query in between itself. Let's see what will happen. Something interesting, right? Let's start from htable underscore emp. So Hasita is still developer because Hive update is not yet completed. It's still going on. Okay, that's why I didn't get pick up. So you can see Anand got updated to project lead, and Sati's new record got added. So with the help of HBase and Impala or Hive integration, you are still into Impala shell only. You can run all your SQL queries and you are getting the benefit of transactions as well, right? Okay, but one limitation, anyway, since we are discussing this, so one limitation is that you can't delete a record. Thing is, you could have deleted. First thing is you don't have the command for deletion of a record from Impala shell. For that purpose, you might need to go for only in case of delete. Only in case of delete a record, you can go for your Java API. It's just an update. It's just a Um, uh, yeah, any other shortcuts for deletion? Maybe just copying into temp table and copying back or something. You can manage. If you want to manage, you can manage that also. But so ideally speaking, it supports inserts, it supports updates. Yes, deletes is something that is just pending. Even that will get resolved maybe in few other releases of Impala or Hive. Anything.
Siva, sorry, I got a little distracted. My apologies. But what you are trying to show is the difference between Impala and Hive, right?
I'm not trying to show you the differences between Impala or Hive. I'm showing you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm showing you the similarities. I'm showing you the advantage of using HBase through Hive or Impala. So how easy it makes your life. I mean, I told you that if you listen this topic, you'll like it a lot. But even you got distracted. That's okay.
Sorry, I know.
This is something
I got it. Okay, so from HBase you can call Impala or Hive, and obviously Impala will be faster, right? So
yeah. So from Impala, you can call your HBase tables. You can insert into your HBase table. You can retrieve from your HBase table. You can update your HBase table, and you can see those updated values also here. So now tell me.
Oh yeah.
Now tell me that even though you have HBase, only except those 10% scenarios where you need a deletion of a record. Otherwise, there is no need of logging into your HBase shell at all. And no need of writing any Java code for your HBase. Even if you need, so whatever the REST services that you're asking, Akila, the same Java client, Impala Java client or the Hive Java client that I have given you. So that thing, that piece of code, wherever you want to put, you can put it anywhere, any framework. What it could be a SOAP, or it could be a REST, or it could be any protocols or any frameworks. You can call it this way.
See, in my experience for warehouse design, I rarely delete records. So I mark it as soft delete.
Yep.
But so I don't see a scenario where I'll be using HBase.
Then maintain one extra flag. If it is a soft delete, maintain an extra flag is deleted, and always make it as true. If that's the case, you never need to go or log in into HBase shell. You never need a HBase Java API also. You can always survive with your Impala shell itself or your Hive shell itself.
Yep, perfect.
Okay, slowly migrated you into your Hive and Impala session. But in order to understand this integration, you anyway need how does it works in the backend, HBase and concepts. Only for that purpose, I explained all those things.
See what the reason Impala is able to access the HBase table is through the
Hive
Metastore.
Hive Metastore.
Hive Metastore, correct? Okay.
Yes, since we created it in Hive, and it adds that into the Hive Metastore, then only it creates this into here. So try creating the same table here directly. You'll not be able to. Impala has some limitations on that. Okay, so Impala is much faster, but Impala has some limitations when compared with your Hive. So Hive might be giving more functionalities to you. Some of these advanced functionalities like bucketing and some analytic functions and some extra features, extended features that Hive is already giving you may not be present in Impala, but still people use Impala a lot because it's faster performance. Okay. So now you can play with your HBase tables, all the HBase tables from here. So now you loaded your bulk data also very simply, similar to your any other Hive loading. Now your job becomes very easy. But anyway, you should not forget the roots. So that's why I covered those stuff as well. Okay. So with this, I'm wrapping up, I'm finishing up the HBase classes. So we'll start the fresh topic on Monday. That is a scoop. Okay, any questions? Or how?
Shiva, HBase is a OLTP, right? I mean, it's a transactions. How it will store these transactions if it's not a if it's near real-time database?
How it stores transactions means? What is mean by transaction?
I mean, if something in the real time, like if some change happened with the data, how it will automatically take it?
That is what we were discussing so far, right? I mean, transaction is nothing but inserting a new record or updating an existing record or deleting a record.
Okay.
So these are the commands that we have discussed so far, right?
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
if there is an update to a record, you use the put command. If there is an update to if there is a new record insertion, we used put command. If there is a delete, we saw the delete command. So that is how HBase will not automatically store those transactions. We either through programmatically, through Java, or through your these loads. Whenever you receive, let's say, so when you integrate these things with some website, let's say you have a table, customer table. That customer table, all the details you are displaying on a customer profile page. Okay. And all of a sudden, one customer came, he wanted to change his address. So now you will be retrieving that particular record. You'll write a select query. Okay. You'll write a select query here in your Impala through Java client. Okay, the same select query, select star from so and so customer table where customer ID equal to 1010, and you will be retrieving that record through Java client and display that on your web browser. Okay, how does that UI and web browser interface happens? Is that through Java Web Services? Okay, that is something that already existing. Now, if he changes that customer address there, now you receive that from the UI and you send it through the again backend API, so that you will be making an update to the backend. You will again call this insert into table. So you'll pass that customer ID as 1010, change the first name to Vasu or something, and change the address to so whatever the updated address that is provided in the web browser. So now this is nothing but you are capturing the transaction, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Shiva.
Okay, so that's why I covered the Java client so that you can run all these commands through the Java as well. Only thing is, in real time, you might see one extra thing is the usage of this Java code in some of these advanced frameworks, which I'm telling it, like Spring MVC or further REST APIs, REST services.
Okay, Shiva. Thanks.
Yep. Any other questions?
Ultimately, these files will be stored in the files only, right? These all records are stored in files, right?
H files.
Correct.
other questions?
Siva, there was no class on Saturday, right? Meaning Sunday your time, right?
My Sunday, anyway, there was no class.
Okay, perfect.
I have some questions. Oh, okay. You did run as a debugger. Okay. What is minus LM? Yeah. What is your question, Anand? Sorry. We didn't have class on last Monday and last Tuesday as well.
Okay, perfect. So there was only perfect. Now we'll meet on Monday, correct?
You didn't miss any class.
Okay, good.
Okay. I have question from Satish. What is minus LM? Sudo JPS minus LM. Minus LM is for long message. Instead of short messages, you will get long messages. Okay. And from Akila, I have one question. So role and name. Okay. Under role, you got the name. Under name, you got the role in updated and new record. Oh, might be. I might have given reverse order. Okay. So this may be out of context. What is Apache Phoenix? It's a very good question, Akila. It's not out of context. You asked at the right time. This is again something like providing the SQL layer. Since you in HBase, you need to end up in using scan, put, get, all these commands, right? Create all these commands. This is not SQL syntax. For to overcome that complexity of these complex commands and Java API, so Apache Phoenix. Phoenix is the one. For the first time, it introduced a SQL layer on top of HBase. SQL layer on top of HBase. Once you integrate Phoenix with HBase, you can run your basic SQL queries like create table, table name, columns, and primary key, foreign key, not foreign keys, at least the primary keys you can specify, nulls, not nulls, kind of, you can perform joins, you can perform all those things. Of course, some of this relational SQL kind of features you will get on the HBase tables. Initial days, like, so even now also you can use it, but only one problem with Phoenix is, so Phoenix is not having the enterprise support from both Cloudera. I'm not 100% sure about Hortonworks. It might be the same case, I think. But Cloudera is not giving the enterprise support. That is for sure, 100%. That's why in some of our older projects, we used Phoenix, but now slowly we are avoiding that. We are no longer using Phoenix. No, but we have strictly said no to everyone in our architects and design meetings that we no longer use Phoenix, because you can integrate with Impala Hive itself. You are getting the same SQL layer. Now with the help of this, you can do all the inserts and you can create the tables, you can update the records, you can perform the joins. In HBase, you can't perform the joins between two tables. Of course, you can do it in Impala. You have the join queries. You can join one Impala table with another Impala table if you access them through HBase. So there is no longer need for Phoenix. If you can integrate with your Impala, that's good enough. And Impala is officially supported by your Cloudera.
Okay, this means like for only delete, update or row level, like lookups, we need to go with HBase. If not, we can do all the same work through Impala. If it is Cloudera, or if it is Hortonworks, we can go with like Hive. That's
Hive.
right.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay. So
Who's
Phoenix, anyway, I don't recommend anyone to go through it. Okay. Just have a one-liner idea on it. That's enough.
who wrote Phoenix?
It's again like open source. I'm not sure It's in Apache ASF.
Okay.
Apache software.
But this is not a Cloudera, right? It's not a Cloudera product.
It's not, Phoenix is not from Cloudera.
Okay.
Phoenix is not from Cloudera. Otherwise, they would have encouraged Phoenix itself. They would have provided the enterprise support. This is a bit older now. Almost from last 3-4 years, Phoenix is there and slowly getting deprecated. No longer people using this Phoenix. We used it for a couple of projects, but we are moving out of it. In Hadoop, it's like the same thing. Every tool, you have to keep upgrading always. There will be so many tools that they may get deprecated in the incubating phase itself. Okay.
Apache Phoenix is a Salesforce product actually.
Salesforce product. Okay. Yeah, might be. Okay, and I have one more question. Will there be deadlocks if same table access from different persons through different shells? No, Narendra, I think this happens at the Zookeeper session level. I didn't face that kind of issues. Okay, I never experienced that kind of deadlocks.
Hey Shiva, what is this cap theorem I saw in some of the blogs?
Cap theorem, yeah, even I kept there in our blog also. Cap theorem is nothing but something persistence, availability, and C for
Consistency, availability, and partition.
Yeah. This is like for NoSQL databases. There is a theorem called, they call it as, for NoSQL databases. So if you take any database concepts, consistency, availability, and persistence, and they talk too much about this theory. So even I used to tell this long back, but these days I feel it like it's no longer. I mean, I don't feel any reason to explain this and to learn these things. So in RDBMS, they tell it like we get all the three or something. So consistence, once you update a record, that will be consistent, and that record will be available, and the results are persistent kind of. You will get all the features, but when you coming to NoSQL and distributed databases, any distributed databases, based on the distributed database type, at max you can get only 2 out of these 3 features. Okay, so either some databases like MongoDB might choose C and A, and your Cassandra might choose A and P, and your HBase can choose C and P, something like that. And if I'm not wrong, the HBase falls under persistent and availability, P and A, or you can check that. They draw a triangle for this. So something like this. So triangle kind of way.
HBase comes under C and P.
C and P. Yeah, consistent and persistent.
Yeah. Whereas Cassandra comes under A and P.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what's the like I have a question, like both HBase and Cassandra are columnar databases.
So in their architecture, let's say consistent. See, if one of these goes down or something in the backend architecture, so it's A and P, right? High availability.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Availability and persistent. Even if it writes into one machine, that might get available or something that kind of stuff.
Okay. Um,
You don't need that stuff much in real time. Nobody asks you all this.
yeah, Shiva, in NoSQL wiki page, I saw something called like a NoSQL database, which is a multimodal
Multinodal
model.
model.
Yeah.
There
They
are
said it's
seven or eight different types of NoSQL databases, as I was listing you. So
Yeah.
columnar databases and document-oriented databases,
Yeah.
value-based databases,
And graph.
graph-based databases. There are
Yeah.
many. Okay, so that's just.
Yeah. Heard about all those like column, document, key value, and graph, but never heard about this multimodal. So that's the
Yeah,
reason.
even I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
Even I mean, for these things also, I just heard and I just know what is what. That's it. I don't know much details.
Okay.
All these things. Okay.
Thank you, Shiva.
Yeah. Thanks. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.